My theory on the moonbump. Hello, everyone. I'm Deborah. Welcome or welcome back. We all know that if Meghan's lips are moving, she's lying. And I highlight my most memorable debunked lies in my video, Web of Lies. Today, I want to talk about some lies that haven't been debunked, but that many of us believe to be lies. This is just a theory based on information that's already out there, but hey, every fact begins as a theory. So let me know in the comments if you think I'm on the right track. I think her age and her pregnancies are linked. And I think that she wore a moon bump when she was pregnant with Archie. And yes, you heard me right. I do think that she was pregnant with Archie. Her face, body, and weight gain are consistent with pregnancy. And I do think that while she was still a working member of the royal family, it would have been too difficult, even for the Duchess of Duplicity, to fake a pregnancy. But I also think that she wore a moon bump. Usually during a royal pregnancy, we have a roundabout due date, but Meghan and Harry were more vague and something was off from the get go. From announcing the pregnancy at Eugenie's wedding, I mean, seriously, who does that? To a spring due date and breaking royal tradition with the hospital and the photo call. It's been smoke and mirrors from the very beginning. And why? Why would she, who loves cameras, attention, and publicity, suddenly become so secretive? Well, obviously, you are secretive when you have a secret to hide. And what did Meghalaya have to hide to us about her first pregnancy? Well, how about that it wasn't her first? Rumours have it that Meghan had a teenage pregnancy and gave the baby up. But why would she have the baby and give it up rather than just have an abortion? Abortion was legal in California in the 90s, but only up to 24 weeks. And it actually became more difficult to find a clinic after 12 weeks. Anyone who's had a baby knows that you don't really have a bump before 5 months with your first pregnancy, but the second one shows a lot sooner, which means that a teenager could easily miss a pregnancy until it's too late to do anything about it. Although it's quite rare, some mums don't even know they're pregnant until they give birth. It's highly possible to misdiagnose an unplanned pregnancy with weight gain for quite some months. So, what do you think of my theory so far? Do you think that this is feasible? Because I personally have a friend who wasn't even a teenager, she was actually married, but she misdiagnosed her first pregnancy for the first 5 months as weight gain because the pregnancy was unplanned. She wasn't expecting it. So she didn't know for 5 months that she was actually pregnant. So I think it's perfectly feasible, especially for a teenager, to misdiagnose a pregnancy. So let's imagine a teenage pregnancy while she was still studying. Being that there are only 9 months in a school year, we can imagine that she didn't finish one school year in an effort to hide what was now showing and missed the following school year because she was still pregnant and or hiding her post-pregnant belly. Hiding a teenage pregnancy, depending on when it happened during the school year, could very well see you miss 2 years of school, but at the very least one. So let's start giving a bit more sense to my theory. The Markles claim that Meghan Markle has always been called Meghan. Yet all of her school yearbook photos say Rachel Markle, not Rachel Meghan or Meghan in inverted commas. So, my lovely American viewers, let me know in the comments how your name would be shown in the yearbook if you were known by your middle name or Trey or AJ. How would they write your name in the yearbook? Your official given name or the name you were known by? because I think that Rachel Markle became Meghan Markle to create confusion between the girl who disappeared for 2 years and the girl who was 2 years younger with a different first name. Is it that far fetched to imagine that her family covered up her teenage pregnancy? I don't think so. Look at Jack Nicholson, who grew up thinking his biological mother was his sister and his biological grandmother was his mother. And again, I personally know families who did this. What about you? Do you know families in this situation? Because this is more normal than you think for families to cover up teenage pregnancies. So, Rachel Markle had a teenage pregnancy that was covered up, and she gave up the baby, lost 2 years, so became 2 years younger as Meghan Markle. And plenty of people go through life with doctored or fake or false paperwork. And let's not forget that the Markles do live in Hollywood after all. So I don't think that fake IDs, altered photos, video footage is that complicated. So why did she wear a moonbump when she was pregnant with Archie? Because, as I said before, your baby bump starts to show a lot sooner with your second child. So the Queen of Smoke and Mirrors continued to create confusion. No real due date, very vague, moon bumps to make her seem more pregnant, and potentially lying about the birth date, which would explain Harry's confusion about how old Archie was when he was being presented to the press.
Everyone says that babies change so much over 2 weeks. We're basically sort of monitoring how the changing process happens over this next month, really. But his looks are changing every single day. Yeah. So who knows?
And how you find parenting generally? Is it still a special moment?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, parenting is amazing. It's only been 2.5 days, 3 days.
Yeah.
But we're just so thrilled to have our own little bundle of joy, and be able to spend some precious times with him as he slowly starts to grow up.
Yes.
Can we have a little peek at him? We just can't quite see his face. Wow.
He's already got a little bit of facial hair as well. Wonderful.
Just in the family.
Guys, thank you
Thank
very,
you all
very
so
much.
much.
Thanks.
Why is he talking about babies at 2 weeks old? And why is he constantly looking at Meghan for confirmation? And it would explain why they presented a newborn baby doll to the press. I mean, listen to the press saying that they can't really see the baby that didn't move. They could tell that something wasn't right. And again, to call on my own personal experience, her whole delivery story that Harry told us in Spare just seems totally off. She was supposedly overdue and the pregnancy was induced. She had an epidural, yet they seemed to have a very quick visit to the hospital. Whereas I myself, with my first baby, was overdue and induced and had an epidural, and the whole thing lasted 17 hours because being induced and having an epidural slows everything down. But with my second baby, who was early, as second babies do tend to be, and came out at lightning speed an hour after I arrived at the hospital and didn't have any time for the epidural. So Harry's story about Archie's birth does not seem to be the story of a firstborn. So I do think that Archie is real, and I do think that Meghan birthed him. He was photographed at official royal events such as Africa and with the royal family. But I do think that she was covering up her first pregnancy, and the royal family knew that something wasn't right. They also knew that she was Duchess difficult, and they were probably just over Meghan's antics. And so that's why they posted this bizarre official statement about Archie that wasn't signed and witnessed as royal statements usually are. And my theory could explain Mexit, because they always claimed it was for their privacy, but the worldwide privacy tour begs to differ. And then there was all the skin tone issues, which Harry backpedaled on anyway. So could Mexit have been started because the royal family were asking too many questions about Archie's birth? Because let's face it, they left in a damn hurry after the baby was born. In any case, we can be sure of one thing, that there was a lot of confusion around the birth of Archie. And any great illusionist performs his magic by getting you to look elsewhere. Don't look at the birth, low skin colour. Don't look at this, that, and the other. She's an expert. She gets us to look at what she wants us to look at and manages to hide the real secret. And why haven't the Markles come out to tell us the truth? Well, for the same reasons that nobody in Jack Nicholson's family did. Families keep their secrets. The same way that the Markles won't tell us where Doria was during Meghan's childhood. Will the truth come out one day? Well, so far, investigators and journalists haven't found any loose lips, but that could all change when Thomas Sr. is no longer of this world. So this teenage pregnancy and being 2 years old a secret could also be the root of Markling her family. She wanted to discredit them in advance, just in case, and she was terrified of family members coming to the wedding and letting things slip out after a few glasses of champagne. Dodgy Doria will do anything for money, so she was the safest bet. And of course, Meghan needed her black mother to remind everyone that she was biracial. So there's my theory on Archie. And as I said, this is just a theory built on evidence that's out there and hidden in plain sight. It's quite a simple theory that explains age discrepancy, teenage pregnancy rumours, moonbump, and Markling her entire family. And it's usually the simplest theory that is the closest to the truth. So now let's move on to little Betty. And that's a whole different story. They were no longer in the royal family, so the great illusion was much easier to maintain. We only saw Meghan pregnant in photos by her dear friend Misan, so he's about as credible as Scooby-Doo Plastic Man Scooby. And on TV with Oprah, which I don't know about you, but I don't really trust anything that comes out of Oprah's mouth anymore. Or in the Meghan and Harry Netflix mockumentary, which is basically a TV reality show. And for sure, everything that's on a TV reality show is real. Little Betty has never been photographed with any member of the royal family, and we've rarely seen any photos of her whatsoever. The obstetrician who helped deliver her shut down her practice with little notice shortly after her birth. So with little Betty, I can go full on tinfoil hat conspiracy theory and say Meghan was never pregnant because she doesn't exist. Let me know what you think.
I was such a fraud.